August 19, 1944, Chambois, France. 2:34 in the afternoon. Inside the Sherman tank named In the Mood, Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole wipes sweat from his eyes. The temperature inside the steel coffin exceeds 120 degrees. The smell of diesel, gunpowder, and human fear fills every inch of the cramped compartment. Through his periscope, Poole spots movement, dust clouds rising from the tree line, 600 yards out. Then he sees them. 3 Panzer foes emerging from the forest. German steel beasts hunting for American blood. Their long 75mm guns scanning for targets. Poole's loader freezes. His gunner, Corporal Boggs, whispers a prayer. The first Panzer fires. The round slams into the Sherman's front hull. The entire tank shudders. Metal screams against metal. Poole's crew braces for the flames that kill most Sherman tankers. But In the Mood doesn't burn. Poole checks his instruments. Transmission intact. Engine running. Still alive. Any other commander would retreat, call for backup, live to fight another day. Poole grabs his radio. "Driver, advance. Close the distance." His driver thinks he misheard. "Sergeant, there." "I said advance. Gunner, prepare to engage." The Sherman lurches forward, toward 3 enemy tanks, toward certain death. What happened next would make Lafayette Poole the deadliest tank commander in American history. A man who would destroy 258 enemy vehicles in 81 days of continuous combat. A man whose cardboard Sherman would absorb 9 direct Panzer hits and keep fighting. But the Army tried to bury his story for 50 years. This is the truth they didn't want you to know. Before he became a legend, Lafayette Poole was nobody. Born July 23, 1919 in Odom, Texas, population 800. A dust-choked farming community where dreams went to die and ambition was considered dangerous. Poole's family had nothing. His father worked other men's fields for pennies. His mother took in laundry to feed 6 hungry children. By age 12, Lafayette was picking cotton alongside migrant workers, his small hands bleeding from the sharp bowls. School was a luxury the Poole family couldn't afford. At 14, Lafayette dropped out. Not because he was stupid, because his family needed every cent he could earn. While other boys played baseball and chased girls, Poole hauled hay, dug ditches, and learned that life rewards those who refuse to quit. In 1936, 17-year-old Poole walked into an Army recruiting station in Corpus Christi. He'd heard soldiers got 3 meals a day and a real bed. That sounded like paradise. The recruiting sergeant looked him up and down, 5'8", 130 pounds soaking wet. "Son, you're too small. Come back when you've got some meat on your bones." Poole returned the next year. Rejected again. Underweight. Rejected. Still too scrawny. But Poole kept eating, kept working, kept building himself into something the Army couldn't refuse. December 1941. Pearl Harbor burns. America needs every man it can get. Poole walks into that same recruiting station. This time, they take him. "You'll probably wash out of basic training," the sergeant warns. "Farm boys usually do." Poole says nothing. He's learned that words mean little. Actions mean everything. Basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Poole excels at everything. Marksmanship, expert level. Physical fitness, top of his class. Following orders, flawless. But it's his attitude that catches attention. While other recruits complain about the heat, the food, the endless drills, Poole volunteers for extra duty. He asks questions. He studies. He treats every exercise like his life depends on it, because soon it will. Poole is assigned to the Tank Corps. First time he sees a Sherman tank, he's not impressed. The M4 Sherman. America's answer to German armor. 33 tons of steel, a 75mm gun, and armor that measures just 2 inches thick at the front. The Germans have a nickname for it, Tommy Cooker. Because when a Panzer round penetrates that thin armor, the Sherman's ammunition ignites. The crew burns alive inside their own tank. Death comes in seconds, but those seconds feel like eternity. American tankers have their own dark humor. They call the Sherman a Ronson, like the cigarette lighter. Lights first time, every time. Statistically, a Sherman crew facing a Panzer has a 76% chance of dying, not being wounded, dying. Poole studies these numbers. He watches training films of Shermans exploding. He reads after-action reports describing crews cooked inside their vehicles. Other trainees grow terrified. Some request transfers to infantry. Walking into machine gun fire seems safer than burning alive in a steel coffin. Poole reaches a different conclusion. "The armor won't save me," he tells his bunkmate. "So I won't rely on the armor. I'll rely on speed, aggression, shooting first." His instructors disagree. Standard tank doctrine emphasizes caution. Stay behind infantry. Engage at long range. Protect your vehicle. Poole argues back. "If we stay at long range, their guns penetrate our armor, but ours bounce off. The only advantage we have is getting close. Close enough that our shells punch through." A training sergeant laughs at him. "Farm boy tactics. You'll be dead inside a week." Poole writes to his mother that night. "They don't think I'll make it, Mama. I aim to prove them wrong." He has no idea how completely he will fulfill that promise. To understand what Lafayette Poole accomplished, you must understand what he faced. June 6, 1944, D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in human history. 156,000 Allied soldiers storm the beaches of Normandy. The liberation of Europe begins. But the beaches are just the beginning. Beyond those blood-soaked sands lies the bocage, the hedgerow country of northern France. And it is here that American tanks will face their greatest nightmare. Imagine farmland divided into small fields, each field surrounded by hedgerows. Not simple bushes. These are ancient barriers, some over 1,000 years old. Earth mounds 6 feet high, topped with dense vegetation, roots so deep and tangled that they form natural walls. For infantry, hedgerows provide cover. For tanks, they are death traps. A Sherman cannot push through a hedgerow. The tank's nose lifts up, exposing its thin belly armor. German soldiers wait with Panzer rockets. One shot to the exposed underside. The tank dies. If the Sherman tries to go around through the gaps, it enters a narrow lane, perfect ambush territory. Panzers wait at the end. German 80mm guns hide in farmhouses. By the time the Sherman sees the threat, it's already burning. Normandy in summer 1944 becomes a graveyard for American armor. The 3rd Armored Division lands in France on June 23rd. Within 3 weeks, they've lost over 100 tanks. Some units report 300% casualties. That means they've lost their entire complement of tanks 3 times over, constantly receiving replacements who die just as quickly. And the enemy they face is terrifying. The Panzer IV, Germany's workhorse medium tank. A 75mm gun that can kill a Sherman at 2,500 yards, frontal armor of 80mm. The Sherman's standard 75mm gun bounces off at anything beyond point-blank range. The Panther, a medium tank that outclasses anything America fields. 75mm high-velocity gun accurate at 2,000 yards. Sloped armor that deflects incoming shells. American tankers who spot Panthers often simply retreat. Engagement means death. The Tiger Y, the monster. An 80mm gun that can destroy a Sherman at 2,500 yards. Armor so thick that standard Sherman rounds cannot penetrate at any range. In North Africa, a single Tiger destroyed over 20 Allied tanks in one engagement. American tankers do the math. It's not complicated. German tanks outgun them. German tanks out-armor them. German tanks can kill at ranges where American tanks cannot respond. The only statistical advantage the Sherman possesses is numbers. America can build 5 Shermans for every Panzer Germany produces. The strategy becomes brutal arithmetic. Lose 4 Shermans to kill 1 Panzer. Accept the casualties. Overwhelm through industrial superiority. For the men inside those Shermans, this strategy means one thing: They are expendable. But Lafayette Poole refuses to accept this equation. While other tank commanders study how to survive longer, Poole studies how to kill faster. He obtains German technical manuals, captured in earlier battles. He learns where Panzer armor is weakest. The side armor thinner than the front, the turret ring where turret meets hull. The tracks and wheels vulnerable to any solid hit. He trains his gunner, Corporal Wilbert Dell Boggs, until the man can place a shell within a 6-inch circle at 500 yards. He drills his loader until the man can ram a new shell into the breech in 4 seconds. Standard time is 8 seconds. Poole cuts it in half. He teaches his driver to move unpredictably, never straight lines, always zigzagging, make the enemy gunner's calculations worthless. And he develops his doctrine. The Poole Doctrine, his crew calls it. Get close, dangerously close. So close that German accuracy advantages disappear. So close that Sherman shells can punch through Panzer armor. So close that whoever shoots first wins. Then shoot first. His superiors think he's suicidal. His fellow tank commanders think he's insane. Poole thinks he's the only one doing the math correctly. On July 11, 1944, Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole leads his Sherman, newly christened In the Mood after the Glenn Miller song, into combat for the first time. He's about to prove everyone wrong. July 17, 1944, 6 days into combat. Poole's platoon advances through hedgerow country near St. Lo. The morning starts quiet. Too quiet. Poole's instincts scream warning. Keep your eyes open, he tells his crew through the intercom. They're here. I can feel them. The lead Sherman in the column pushes through a gap in the hedgerow. It explodes. The Panzer shell hits the ammunition storage. The tank doesn't just die, it disintegrates. A fireball 50 feet high. 5 men gone in less than a second. The second Sherman tries to reverse. Another shell. Another explosion. Another crew erased from existence. Poole's tank is third in line. Standard doctrine screams at him, retreat, find cover, call artillery. If he retreats, the Panzers will pick off his entire platoon one by one as they try to escape through the narrow lane. Poole makes his decision in 2 seconds. Driver, advance, ram through the gap. His driver, Private Gruber, hesitates. Sergeant, they'll... Now. In the Mood lurches forward, past the burning wreckage of American tanks, through the gap in the hedgerow, into the open field beyond. 2 Panzers sit 400 yards ahead. Their commanders are reloading, confident they have time. No American tank has ever charged them before. Poole stands in his turret hatch, completely exposed to enemy fire. He needs to see. He needs to direct. Gunner, target right Panzer. Aim for the turret ring. Boggs adjusts. Ready? Fire. The Sherman's gun barks. The shell crosses 400 yards in less than a second. It strikes exactly where Boggs aimed, the thin gap between turret and hull. The Panzer's turret lifts off the chassis. The tank burns. Travers left, second target. The surviving Panzer's crew panics. They're trying to rotate their turret, but Poole's Sherman is closing fast. 300 yards, 250 yards, 200 yards. Fire! Boggs's second shot penetrates the side armor. The Panzer shudders. Smoke pouring from every hatch. Time elapsed from first contact. 47 seconds. Poole's radio crackles. His platoon commander, voice shaking. Poole, report. What's your status? 2 enemy tanks destroyed, advancing to check for additional threats. Silence on the radio. Then, You charged them? Yes, sir. It was the only move that made sense. That evening, Poole's after-action report lands on the desk of Colonel Leander Doane, commanding the 3rd Armored Division's Combat Command. A. Doane reads it twice. 2 Panzers destroyed. No friendly losses after the initial ambush. A staff sergeant who charged superior armor instead of retreating. Doane makes a note. Watch this one. He has no idea what he's about to witness. The next 4 weeks transform Lafayette Poole from soldier to legend. July 19th. Poole's platoon encounters a German supply convoy, 8 trucks, 2 half-tracks, 1 armored car. Standard procedure calls for infantry support before engaging. Poole attacks alone. In the Mood tears through the convoy like a wolf through sheep. The 75mm gun destroys the armored car and half-tracks. The coaxial machine gun shreds the trucks. Poole's crew captures 34 German prisoners, all too shocked to resist. July 24th. A hidden 80mm gun position has killed 3 Shermans in 2 days. The gun is perfectly camouflaged, impossible to spot until it fires, and by then you're already dead. Poole volunteers to find it. He advances his tank slowly, deliberately, making himself a target, drawing fire. The 88 reveals itself. The shell passes so close to Poole's hatch that he feels the heat on his face. But now he knows where they are. Driver, advance. Flank speed. The Sherman races toward the gun position. The German crew tries to reload, but the 80mm is designed to engage targets at long range. At 200 yards, they can't depress the barrel far enough. Poole's gunner puts a shell directly into the gun shield. 7 German artillerymen die instantly. July 28th. The day that should have ended Poole's war, advancing through a village, In the Mood takes a direct hit from a Panzerfaust. The shaped charge warhead is designed to penetrate exactly the kind of armor the Sherman carries. The rocket strikes the hull just below the turret. It punches through. Shrapnel fills the interior. Poole's loader takes fragments in his arm and shoulder. Any other tank is finished. The crew should bail out, call for recovery, receive a new vehicle. Poole looks at the damage. A hole the size of a grapefruit. Smoke, but no fire. Engine still running. "Can you still load?" he asks his wounded crew member. The loader, bleeding but conscious, nods. Then we continue. Poole stuffs rags into the hole to block incoming debris. He redistributes ammunition to keep it away from the breach. And In the Mood drives on. His crew no longer questions his decisions. They've moved beyond fear into something else, faith. They believe that as long as Poole commands, they will survive. Around this time, soldiers start calling him War Daddy. The name spreads through the 3rd Armored Division. When things get bad, when panzers appear, when death seems certain, soldiers ask the same question: where's War Daddy? Because wherever Poole goes, Americans win and Germans die. By August 1st, Poole's personal kill count stands at 12 tanks, 17 armored vehicles, countless trucks, and artillery pieces. More than most tankers achieve in an entire war. And he's just getting started. August 19th, 1944. The day we opened this story. The day that proved everything, the Falaise Pocket. 100,000 German soldiers trapped by Allied forces. The entire German 7th Army desperately trying to escape encirclement. If they break out, they'll reform, and the war continues. If they're trapped, the Wehrmacht in France is finished. Poole's mission: hold the crossroads near Chambois. Block the German retreat. Let nothing through. Intelligence says to expect light resistance, scattered infantry, maybe a few vehicles. Intelligence is wrong. 2:30 p.m. Poole's Sherman sits at the crossroads, engine idling, 4 hours on station. Nothing but occasional rifle fire from desperate German infantry. Then Boggs speaks. Movement, tree line, 600 yards. Poole raises his binoculars. His stomach tightens. 3 Panzer rifles, fresh from reserve units. Their commanders are buttoned up, ready for combat. This is no scattered resistance. This is a coordinated breakout attempt. Poole considers his options. He has 1 Sherman. They have 3 Panzers. Mathematical reality says he should retreat, report, and let air support handle this. But if he retreats, the Panzers break through. More German soldiers escape. More Allied troops die later. Loader, AP round. Gunner, prepare to engage. His crew doesn't hesitate anymore. They know what's coming. The Panzers advance. 500 yards, 450 yards, 400 yards. The lead Panzer fires first. The shell strikes in the Mood's front hull, exactly where the armor is thickest. The tank rings like a bell. Every man inside feels his organs shake. Poole checks his damage indicator. Nothing critical. Driver, advance. Close the distance. Gruber hammers the throttle. The Sherman leaps forward. 2nd Panzer fires. The round clips the turret, showering Poole with sparks and metal fragments. Blood streams down his face from a cut above his eye. He doesn't blink. 300 yards. Gunner, target lead Panzer. Turret ring. Identified. Fire. Boggs' shell crosses 300 yards in a heartbeat. It strikes exactly where he aimed. The Panzer's turret jams. Smoke erupts from the hatches. Target 2nd Panzer. Traverse left. The Sherman's turret swings. The loader rams another shell home, 3 seconds since the last shot. Fire! Another hit. The 2nd Panzer's track shatters. The vehicle slews to a stop, immobilized. The 3rd Panzer commander makes a decision. He's just watched 2 of his comrades get killed by a single Sherman. He's been told American tanks are weak, American crews are cowards. He's been lied to. The 3rd Panzer reverses, trying to escape into the tree line. He's running. Poole's voice is cold. Driver, pursue. The chase lasts 90 seconds. Through the village streets, around burning vehicles, over rubble. The Panzer reaches the tree line, almost safe, almost hidden. Poole's Sherman rounds a corner, 150 yards, point blank. Fire! The shell penetrates the Panzer's engine compartment. The tank dies. Time elapsed, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. 3 Panzers destroyed. 1 Sherman, still combat effective. Poole radios his commander. Crossroads secure. 3 enemy tanks destroyed. Silence, then. Repeat your last, Poole. 3 Panzerwehrfoes destroyed. Single engagement, no friendly losses, holding position. That night, officers from division headquarters visit Poole's position. They examine in the mood. They count the hits. 3 direct impacts from Panzer 75mm guns. The tank's armor held. Not because it was strong, because Poole closed the distance so fast that the German shells hit at bad angles, deflecting instead of penetrating. Cardboard armor, one officer mutters, shaking his head. Poole overhears. He says nothing, but Boggs responds for him. That cardboard armor just killed 3 Panzers, sir. Maybe it's not the armor, maybe it's who's inside it. After Chambois, Poole becomes untouchable. Not literally, bullets and shells still seek him, but tactically. Command gives him the freedom to fight his way. August 20th to September 15th, 26 days that write Poole's name into history. The numbers defy belief. August 21st, 2 Panzerfoes, 1 armored half-track, 3 trucks. August 24th, German artillery battery, 4 guns, 28 prisoners. August 27th, single-handedly holds bridge against infantry assault for 3 hours. Estimated 40 enemy killed. September 2nd, destroys German ammunition depot. Secondary explosions last for 6 hours. September 9th, engages and destroys Panther tank. The Panther, superior to the Sherman in every measurable way, dies because Poole flanks it at 100 yards and puts 2 shells into its side armor before the crew can react. In the Mood absorbs punishment that would destroy any other tank. By mid-September, the vehicle has been hit 9 times by enemy fire. 9 direct impacts. The crew has replaced the tracks 3 times. The engine has been rebuilt twice. The turret bearing, damaged at Chambois, makes a grinding noise that Poole says helps him sleep. This tank won't die, Boggs tells a reporter, because War Daddy won't let it. Poole's official kill count by September 15th, 258 enemy vehicles, tanks, half-tracks, trucks, armored cars, artillery pieces. More than any other American tank commander in the European theater. Estimated enemy soldiers killed or captured by Poole's crew, over 1,000. Days of continuous combat, 81. No leave, no rest, no rotation to rear areas. General Maurice Rose, commanding the 3rd Armored Division, personally visits Poole's position. Rose is himself a legend, a frontline commander who leads from the front. "Poole," Rose says, "you've done enough. Take some leave. Let someone else carry the weight." Poole's response enters division legend. "With respect, sir, my boys need me, and there's still Germans to kill." Rose doesn't push further. He's commanded enough soldiers to know the look in Poole's eyes. This man will stop fighting when the war ends, and not before. But the war has other plans. September 19th, 1944. near Münsterbusch, Germany, 4 miles from the enemy homeland. 81 days. Lafayette Poole has been in continuous combat for 81 consecutive days. No other tank commander in the American Army matches this record. None come close. His body shows the strain. 20 pounds lighter than when he landed in France. Hands that shake when he's not gripping controls. Eyes that see panzers in every shadow. But he won't stop. Can't stop. His boys need him. Morning patrol, routine sweep through territory secured the previous day. Intel reports no enemy activity. Just verify and report. Poole stands in his turret hatch, as always. He could button up, stay safe inside the armor. But he needs to see. He's always needed to see. The German Panther is hidden in the rubble of a farmhouse. Its crew has been waiting since dawn. They've heard about the American tank that won't die. They've heard about War Daddy. They're determined to kill him. The Panther's 75mm high-velocity gun can penetrate 120 meters of armor at 1,000 yards. The Sherman's frontal armor is less than 50 millimeters. Distance, 600 yards. Perfect range. No chance to miss. The German gunner fires. Poole doesn't hear the shot. No one hears the shot that hits them. The round travels faster than sound. In the Mood staggers like a punched boxer. The shell penetrates the hull, passing through the driver's compartment, through ammunition storage, and into the fighting compartment. Shrapnel fills the interior. Hot metal fragments traveling at thousands of feet per second. Poole takes the worst of it. His left leg, exposed in the turret hatch, is nearly severed. The limb hangs by ribbons of flesh and uniform fabric. Any other man would be in shock, screaming, dying. Poole looks down at his destroyed leg. Then he looks at his crew. Ammunition is cooking off. Small rounds starting to ignite. In seconds, the main gun rounds will explode. Everyone inside will die. "Get out!" Poole's voice cuts through the chaos. "Everyone out now!" Gruber, the driver, is stunned but alive. Poole reaches down with blood-soaked hands and hauls him toward the hatch. "Move!" Boggs tries to help Poole. Poole shoves him toward the escape hatch. "I said out. That's an order." The loader, still wounded from July, scrambles through the bottom hatch. Boggs follows, screaming for Poole to come. Poole is last. He pulls himself out of the turret with his arms alone. His left leg drags uselessly, leaving a red smear on the armor. He falls from the tank just as the ammunition detonates. In the Mood dies in a pillar of fire. The tank that absorbed 9 hits. The tank that killed over 250 enemy vehicles. The tank that proved cardboard was enough when the right man sat inside it. Poole lies in the dirt, watching his home burn. "Good tank," he whispers. Then he passes out. The medics don't expect him to survive. They've seen wounds like this before. The leg will have to come off, and most men die from shock and blood loss, long before they reach a field hospital. Poole survives the trip, survives the amputation, survives the infections that follow. 3 weeks later, still in a hospital bed in Paris, he receives visitors, his crew, all alive, all whole. Boggs can barely speak. "You saved us, Sarge. You were dying, and you saved us." Poole's response is vintage War Daddy. "Y'all would have done the same. Now stop crying and find me some decent food. Army chow is going to kill me faster than any German." His war is over. But his legacy is just beginning. The Army never gave Lafayette Poole the recognition he deserved. Here's why. The Air Force tracked every kill their pilots made. Aces became celebrities. Eddie Rickenbacker, Dick Bong, Tommy McGuire. Their names filled newspapers. Their faces sold war bonds. The Army had no equivalent system for tank commanders, no official records, no verification process, no publicity machine. Poole's kills were documented in after-action reports scattered across 100 different units. No one compiled them. No one calculated the total. No one understood what one man in one Sherman had accomplished. He received decorations, the Distinguished Service Cross, the Silver Star, the Legion of Merit. 2 Purple Hearts, later upgraded to 3 when additional wounds were documented. But he never received the Medal of Honor. The award requires eyewitness testimony, and extensive documentation. Poole's most incredible achievements occurred in the chaos of battle, witnessed only by dead Germans and his own crew. After the war, Poole went home to Texas. He learned to walk on a prosthetic leg. He married his sweetheart. He became a swimming instructor at Fort Hood, teaching young soldiers water survival. He never wrote a memoir, rarely gave interviews. When asked about his service, he deflected. "I just did my job. Lots of boys did more than me. They just didn't come home to tell about it." The truth might have been lost forever. In 1988, military historian Stephen Zaloga began researching the 3rd Armored Division. He was writing a book about American armor doctrine in World War II. Routine historical work. But in the archives, he found something extraordinary. Report after report after report, all mentioning the same name, Poole, Staff Sergeant Poole, the sergeant who charged Panzers, the commander who wouldn't retreat, the man they called War Daddy. Zaloga did what no one had done before. He compiled the reports, he verified the kills, he calculated the total. 258 enemy vehicles, the highest confirmed total of any American tank commander in World War II. Zaloga's book, Armored Thunderbolt, brought Poole's story to light. Military historians recognized what had been overlooked. West Point began teaching the Poole Doctrine to new generations of armor officers. Get close, shoot first, never stop moving. The tactics that officers mocked in 1942 became official doctrine by 1990. Lafayette Poole died on July 30, 1991. He was 72 years old. He's buried in Texas under a simple headstone that doesn't mention his kill count or his decorations. His crew members survived him for years. They gathered every year on August 19th, the anniversary of Chambois. They told stories about War Daddy. They remembered the tank that wouldn't die and the man who made it immortal. Today, most Americans have never heard the name Lafayette Poole. History books mention Patton and Bradley and Eisenhower. The generals get the glory. The sergeants get forgotten. But every tanker who studied the Second World War knows the truth. When people called the Sherman tank cardboard, they were right about the armor. They were wrong about the men. August 19, 1944. Chambois, France. 3 Panzers against 1 Sherman. Superior armor against cardboard. Certainty against impossibility. A Texas farm boy who was rejected from the Army 3 times. A man they said was too small to be a soldier. A tank commander whose tactics were called suicidal. 258 vehicles destroyed. 81 days of continuous combat. 9 direct hits absorbed and survived. Staff Sergeant Lafayette G. Poole didn't have the best tank in the war. He didn't have the thickest armor or the biggest gun or the highest technology. He had something the Germans couldn't manufacture, something that doesn't show up in specifications or technical manuals. He had the absolute refusal to accept that he couldn't win. They called his armor cardboard. He called it home. And from inside that cardboard coffin, a poor boy from Odom, Texas, became the deadliest tank commander America has ever produced. Some heroes get statues, some get movies, some get monuments. Lafayette Poole got a simple grave in Texas and the eternal respect of every soldier who served with him. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's exactly what he would have wanted. But just in case, let's make sure his name isn't forgotten. Staff Sergeant Lafayette G. Poole, War Daddy, the ace of aces, the man who proved that cardboard can kill Panzers if you fight hard enough.